What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Israel Adesanya will beat Dricus du Plessis. Recently, reports indicated that Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya could be in for a UFC 305 clash in Perth. The fight immediately divided the MMA community, with many of the belief that du Plessis will make his first successful title defense, and others of the mindset that Adesanya will reclaim his title after an extended hiatus following his loss to Strickland. While the bout has not been formally announced by the UFC, the long-awaited grudge match seems to be the next logical step for the 185-pound division. During a recent episode of his MMA Arcade show, former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker shared some insight into this fight.
Adesanya fighting for a title again hurts me.
Yeah.
But I understand. Dricus asked for it, right? And he's a champ, gets what he wants. Adesanya's a draw, mate. Like, it seems like the fight that was going to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's an interesting fight. I can see Adesanya just piecing him up for 5 rounds. But in saying that, Dricus is tough as nails and he's awkward. You can also see Dricus getting in there and just making it awkward and you know, like, I don't know, taking him out of his rhythm.
Of course, Whittaker has the experience of having been in the octagon with both du Plessis and Adesanya, giving him a unique perspective on the bout. With the UFC 305 card set to go down this August, it seems as though it's only a matter of time before the bout is announced as a headliner. Next up, let's take a look at Max Holloway talks Islam Makhachev fight after UFC 300. At UFC 300, Max Holloway will compete against Justin Gaethje in a highly anticipated BMF title fight that will mark the former featherweight champ's return to lightweight. Of course, there's been quite a bit of talk about Holloway competing against Ilia Topuria for the 145-pound title with a win over Gaethje. According to Holloway, who spoke in a recent interview with Kevin Iola, if he picks up a win over Gaethje, he isn't ruling out a fight with Islam Makhachev either, who's likely fighting Dustin Poirier over the summer, before then shifting his focus to another contender later this year.
I'm in a situation, I'm in a place where, first things first is Gaethje, but if I can, go out there, get my hand raised, like we plan on doing, there's a lot of fights that can be there for us, and one of them being the 55 champ, which I think would be a fun one. So at the end of the day, I ain't got no regrets of everything. Things happen for a reason. Stuff fall through all the time, and I'm still on this path, and that's why I'm here today.
In the past, Holloway had shown plenty of confidence at 155 by stepping in to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov on short notice. However, the fight fell through. He then faced off with Dustin Poirier for the interim title at UFC 236. All these years later, however, Holloway now finds himself within striking distance of a crack at the title. Next, let's take a look at Daniel Cormier reacts to Ian Garry versus Colby Covington. Although a fight has yet to be finalized, the idea of a bout between Ian Garry and Colby Covington has continued to generate talk around the MMA community. The pair have continued to take shots at one another online, with Garry vowing to retire the former interim champ and Chaos Covington indicating that he would only accept a fight if Garry complied with his list of demands. Despite Garry indicating that he has no intentions of complying with Covington's list of demands, a bout between the two seems to be the fight that the MMA community wants to see. During a recent video for his YouTube channel, Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier shared his thoughts on the potential fight between these two.
Ian Garry said he wants to leave this man in a pool of blood. Ian Garry is now selling Make MMA Great Again hats in blue opposed to red. As you all know, Colby Covington supports President Trump. Ian Garry said he wants to defend his wife's honor, all the while Colby Covington is insulting the man's wife. If there is anything in the world that points to two guys that need to fight each other, it is all the actions that are being displayed by these two gentlemen, Ian Garry and Colby Covington. Yet and still, we don't have a date and we don't have a location.
Given the animosity between the two, the buildup of the fight would certainly generate a ton of buzz around the MMA community. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Fight Updates. Ahead of the upcoming UFC Fight Night Allen vs. Curtis card, let's take a look at some UFC fight updates, starting with a change to this Saturday's card, with Alan Tajali withdrawing from his scheduled fight with Victor Hugo. In his place, Pedro Falcao will now compete against Hugo on short notice amid a 5-fight win streak that saw him most recently pick up a tough enough win in late 2023, while Hugo will look to make his successful UFC debut after Dana White's Contender Series victory back in October. Later this month, Alex Perez will be stepping in for Manel Kape, against Mateusz Nickal at UFC Vegas 91 on April 27th. Kopp was forced to withdraw from the fight due to a rib injury and took to social media to explain the situation, writing, "This is the first time I've ever pulled out of a fight. I broke the cartilage of my rib and I couldn't move for a week. On Thursday last week, my surgery went extremely well. Bear in mind that all my fights got canceled in the past was due to my opponents. Where I came from, we used to fight for free. I'm not bragging about, I'm just being honest. So don't ever think I'm like some of you guys." Looking ahead to the UFC Fight Night St. Louis card on May 11th, a bout between Waldo Cortez Acosta and Robelis de Spain has been announced for the card, with Cortez Acosta looking to extend a 2-fight win streak that most recently saw him defeat Andrei Arlovski in January, while de Spain looks to build on a stunning 18-second victory in his UFC debut. Last but certainly not least, the following weekend, Chaos Williams and Carlston Harris will compete at the UFC Vegas 92 card on May 18th. The bout will see Williams look to build on a split decision victory over Rolando Bedoya in May, while Harris looks to extend a 2-fight win streak that saw him go undefeated in 2023, picking up wins over Jared Gooden and Jeremiah Wells. Next, let's take a look at Bo Nickal goes off on Fighter. Bo Nickal and U.S. wrestling legend Jordan Burroughs have been at odds as of late. Over the weekend, while Burroughs was commenting the NCAA Wrestling Championships alongside Daniel Cormier, a comment he made suggesting that one wrestler should target another's injured leg didn't rub Nickal the right way. After calling Burroughs unprofessional, Nickal then found himself on the receiving end of a verbal jab, with Burroughs telling him to shut up. Nickal then took aim at the U.S. wrestling legend in the video for his YouTube channel.
Again, it's not his moment. So why take a guy's 4th national title and, you know, one of the biggest moments in his career and make it about yourself? To me, it just shows his character. And the thing that bothers me is that nobody sees this. You know, he always tries to act like an ambassador of the sport, and you just want to make it about yourself. So relax, don't come at our guys, and don't act friendly to me when I see you, because I guarantee you it'll, you know, try to see me and be like, "What's up, Bo? Dap it up, be cool." I'm like, bro, no, we're not cool. Like, I don't really care to be cool with you. So
with Nickal set to compete at UFC 300, expect the up-and-coming star to field questions about the situation during fight week leading up to the historic event. Next, let's take a look at Sean Strickland gets called out by Navy SEAL. Former middleweight champion Sean Strickland has found himself involved in a heated back and forth with a U.S. Navy SEAL, who indicated that both he and the weakest Navy SEAL in U.S. history would destroy the former champ in the street fight. In a post on social media, the Special Forces member claimed,
"The weakest SEAL that has ever been created would destroy you in a street fight, as I would. There are no rules. We are fighting for our life. Every single time you went for an armbar or a choke or something like that, I would chew your face off. Yet you think you can break men like me? But come to the street where there's no rules, where we don't have to worry about hitting you in certain areas, where there's no bells, when it's all about survival instinct."
Naturally, the comment didn't sit well with the outspoken former middleweight champ, who wrote, "Listen, fighting is my job. Ask me to fight, tell me how much. If it's a good number, I say yes. I train when I'm sick. I train on vacation. I take my job seriously. But violence is my love. And if some Navy SEAL influencer wants to give me a therapy session, I'm game, lol." Strickland also wrote that he's down to settle things whenever, writing, "I messaged him on IG and he didn't message me back. Roll through. Does he have a Twitter? Tag him, lol." In a follow-up, the Navy SEAL called out Strickland in a video for Facebook.
"You want to set all this up, man, just use my phone number. Use my phone number and stop playing this petty crap, trying to get the keyboard commandos involved on your Facebook or what, Twitter or whatever, okay?"
Given Strickland has met up with online trolls in the past, it'll be interesting if anything comes of the situation. Joe Rogan is concerned with the UFC 300 main event. In a recent podcast, he mentioned how Jamal Hill is still recovering from a ruptured Achilles from playing basketball. Joe Rogan talks about how Jamal Hill might have rushed the recovery phase in order to headline UFC 300. Here's what Rogan had to say.
I'm so interested in Jamal Hill and Pereira. Yeah. I'm so interested in that fight. I am so interested in that fight.
Does you think his Achilles is straight?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I would assume it is. Otherwise, he wouldn't be jumping back in. I know it was more than 8 months. He
is that what they say it takes?
How many months ago did Jamal Hill injure his Achilles? Okay, so this was in July. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 8. Ooh, I'd like to have
right on the
more.
limit.
I'd like to have a little more.
And we don't know. I would assume he's had to be on the BPCs and the.
No, you can't. You can't.
Even on as an injury.
No, you can't.
Well, so they can't even get
stupid.
permission to use
No,
that.
you can do stem cells. They can do PRP. They can do a lot of things. It's so silly. Yeah. Well, god damn, it would suck if he came in at 70%.
Yeah.
Not 100.
Because he's going to need to be 100.
Because if they, the thing is, there's got to be a lot of pressure to be UFC 300. Yeah. And you might be, I could do it. I don't know. I'm hoping it's 100%. I just hope they for sure got him some stem cells.
Top comments. My foot was a balloon. My mouth guard was bad. Max vs. Gaethje is one of those fights where you want both to win somehow. Already a classic before it even happened. Buckley and Ariel are both right. Ariel does ask gotcha questions. However, I'm glad he asked about fighter pay because UFC media is too scared to ask. Ariel tries to set traps. It's shock and flash news. How y'all think he stays relevant? His interviews ain't nothing special. Ariel has to stop trying to announce stuff before Dana and the UFC. It always pisses Dana off, and they switch stuff up, and the fans have to wait way longer than we already do. Just let it be announced, and then make your announcements. Money. Make sure to leave a comment, and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.